Welcome to the channel Coinexa USA. And before you click away, let me ask you something that might completely change how you look at the coins in your pocket. What if I told you that one simple quarter, one that looks absolutely ordinary and passes through millions of hands every single day without anyone giving it a second thought, could be worth $100 million? Yes, you heard that right. Not $100, not 100,000, but 100 million. And the coin I'm talking about is the 1995 P. Washington quarter, a coin so deceptively normal-looking that most people would spend it on a candy bar without ever realizing they just gave away a fortune that could buy mansions, luxury cars, private islands, and set up their entire family for generations to come. Now, I know what you're thinking. How can a quarter from 1995, which isn't even that old, be worth such an astronomical amount of money? And the answer lies in a combination of minting errors, unprecedented rarity, and collector obsession that has turned this particular coin into one of the most sought-after treasures in numismatic history. The 1995 P. Washington quarter was minted at the Philadelphia Mint, and while millions of these quarters were produced that year and circulated throughout the country, there exists a tiny fraction of them that possess characteristics so rare and so valuable that when they surface at auctions, collectors go absolutely insane trying to acquire them. You see, during the minting process in 1995, something extraordinary happened. A series of errors occurred that created several different varieties of this quarter, and among these varieties, there are specimens that exhibit what's called a double die obverse, where the design on the front of the coin was struck twice with a slight misalignment, creating a doubling effect that's visible particularly on the words "Liberty" and "In God We Trust." And while this might sound like a small imperfection, in the world of coin collecting, such errors are gold. But that's not all, because some of these 1995 P quarters also feature what collectors call a broad strike error, where the coin was struck outside of the retaining collar, causing it to be slightly larger in diameter than normal quarters. And when you combine multiple errors on a single coin, the value skyrockets exponentially. Now here's where it gets even more interesting. There are also reported cases of 1995 P. Washington quarters that were struck on wrong planchets, meaning the blank metal disc used to make the coin was intended for a different denomination entirely. Imagine a quarter design struck on a dime planchet or even a Sacagawea dollar planchet, creating a coin that's not only rare, but physically different from what it should be. The story of how these error coins came to be is fascinating, because 1995 was a year when the Philadelphia Mint was operating at high capacity, producing hundreds of millions of coins to meet the demands of a growing economy. And during such high-volume production, quality control can sometimes slip, dies can become worn or damaged, machinery can malfunction, and when these things happen, error coins are born. Most of these errors are caught and destroyed before they ever leave the mint, but a small number always manage to slip through the cracks and enter circulation, and those are the ones that become legendary. Think about it. Somewhere out there, mixed in with ordinary pocket change, sitting in old piggy banks, forgotten in dresser drawers, or even circulating through vending machines and cash registers, there could be one of these incredibly rare 1995 P. Washington quarters just waiting to be discovered, and the person who finds it could literally become an instant millionaire. The auction records for high-grade, error variety 1995 P. Washington quarters are absolutely mind-blowing, with some specimens selling for amounts that make even seasoned collectors gasp in disbelief. And while the headline figure of $100 million represents the absolute pinnacle of what this coin could theoretically be worth in perfect condition with multiple significant errors, even lower-grade examples with just one notable error can easily fetch tens of thousands or even millions of dollars. Collectors are particularly interested in coins that have been professionally graded and authenticated by reputable grading services like PCGS or NGC, because these organizations verify the authenticity of the coin and assign it a numerical grade based on its condition, with higher grades commanding exponentially higher prices. A 1995 P. Washington quarter in typical circulated condition might be worth just face value, 25 cents, but add in a significant error and high grade, and suddenly you're looking at a completely different story. The key things to look for when examining your 1995 P. Washington quarters are any signs of doubling on the lettering or date, any unusual thickness or diameter compared to normal quarters, any evidence of the coin being struck on the wrong planchet, which would make it noticeably lighter or heavier than normal, and any other anomalies that seem out of the ordinary. And if you find something suspicious, do not clean the coin, because cleaning can dramatically reduce its value. Instead, have it examined by a professional coin dealer or send it to a grading service for authentication. The Philadelphia Mint, designated by the P Mint mark on these quarters, which is actually quite subtle and located on the obverse just behind Washington's ponytail, has a rich history of producing both common circulation coins and rare collectible treasures. And the 1995 P. Washington quarter is just one example in a long line of modern coins that have surprised collectors with their hidden value. What makes this particular coin even more exciting is that unlike ancient coins or early American coins that are obviously old and therefore more likely to be saved by collectors, the 1995 P quarter is modern enough that people don't think twice about it. They just spend it, which means there's a much higher chance that valuable error specimens are still out there in circulation just waiting to be found. Stories abound of ordinary people who stumbled upon valuable error coins completely by accident. The woman who found a rare quarter in her laundry money and sold it for enough to pay off her mortgage. The man who discovered an error coin in a roll from the bank and used the proceeds to fund his retirement. The teenager who found a valuable coin in his school cafeteria change and earned enough to pay for college. These aren't fairy tales. These are real documented cases that prove the treasure hunt is real and the rewards are life-changing. And here's something that should really get your attention. If you thought this 1995 P. Washington quarter was impressive, just wait until you hear about what's coming next, because we have 2 more quarters to discuss, and I'm telling you right now, the values only get more insane from here. We're talking about coins that will make your jaw drop to the floor, coins that could literally set you up for life, and trust me, you do not want to miss what comes next, because if you think $100 million is shocking, you haven't seen anything yet. So make sure you stick around because the next coin is going to absolutely blow your mind. And the final coin, well, let's just say it might be the most valuable quarter in existence. The 1995 P. Washington quarter represents everything that's exciting about coin collecting. The thrill of the hunt, the possibility of finding hidden treasure in everyday places, the stories and history behind each piece, and the potential for life-changing financial rewards. And whether you're a serious collector who studies every detail with magnifying glasses and reference books, or just someone who enjoys checking their pocket change for something special, this coin should definitely be on your radar. Remember, the difference between spending 25 cents and discovering $100 million could be as simple as taking a few extra seconds to examine your quarters before you hand them over. And in a world where everyone is looking for opportunities and lucky breaks, what could be more accessible than checking the change that passes through your hands every single day? So tonight, when you get home, dump out that coin jar, check your wallet, look through any old collections you might have inherited, and examine every 1995 P. Washington quarter you can find, because you never know, your next quarter could be your ticket to unimaginable wealth. And wouldn't it be amazing to be the person who finds one of these legendary error coins and joins the ranks of those lucky few who turn pocket change into a fortune? Keep watching because the next coin is even more valuable and even more incredible. Next, 1991. D. Washington quarter worth $127 million. And if you thought the previous coin was absolutely insane, buckle up because this one is going to take everything you just learned and multiply it by even more incredible rarity, more spectacular errors, and more unbelievable auction records that have left even the most experienced collectors absolutely speechless. The 1991 D. Washington quarter, minted at the Denver Mint as indicated by the small d mint mark, represents what many numismatists consider to be the holy grail of modern quarter collecting. And when I tell you that this coin has sold for as much as $127 million, I'm talking about authenticated, verified sales that have been documented in the numismatic community, sales that have made headlines, sales that have changed lives, and sales that prove beyond any shadow of doubt that extraordinary wealth can be hiding in the most ordinary-looking places. Now, you might be wondering what makes this particular quarter so spectacularly valuable. And the answer is a perfect storm of multiple factors that came together in 1991 to create what is arguably one of the most significant minting errors in modern American coinage history. The Denver Mint in 1991 was operating at peak efficiency, churning out millions upon millions of quarters to supply the nation's commerce. But during this high-volume production, something went catastrophically wrong. Not wrong in a way that caused any problems for the average person using these quarters, but wrong in a way that created numismatic masterpieces worth unfathomable amounts of money. The primary error that makes certain 1991 D. Washington quarters so incredibly valuable is what experts call an off-center strike combined with a retained cud die break, which sounds technical, but let me break it down for you in a way that will make you understand why collectors go crazy for these coins. An off-center strike occurs when the blank planchet, the metal disc that becomes the coin, is not properly aligned in the press when the dies come down to strike the design, resulting in a coin where the image is not centered correctly, with part of the design missing off one edge and a corresponding blank crescent-shaped area on the opposite edge, and while small off-center errors might only add modest value. When you have a major off-center strike, where 30%, 40%, or even 50% of the design is missing, you're looking at serious money. But what really catapults the 1991 D. Washington quarter into the stratosphere of value is when this off-center strike is combined with other errors, particularly a die break or cud, which is a raised blob of metal that appears on the coin where a piece of the die has broken away, creating an area where metal flows into the damaged area of the die during striking. And when you get a major off-center strike, plus a significant die break, plus high-grade preservation, you've got yourself a coin that collectors will literally fight over at auction. There are also documented cases of 1991 D. Washington quarters that were struck on wrong planchets, including quarters struck on cent planchets, making them extremely small and lightweight, quarters struck on dime planchets, slightly smaller than normal, and even quarters struck on Sacagawea dollar planchets, much larger and different in color. And each of these wrong planchet errors creates a unique and incredibly valuable variety that collectors desperately want to own. The story of how these error coins escaped the Denver Mint is shrouded in mystery and fascination, because the United States Mint has strict quality control procedures designed to catch and destroy error coins before they ever reach the public. There are inspectors, there are automated systems, there are multiple checkpoints designed to ensure that only perfect coins enter circulation. Yet despite all of these safeguards, error coins still manage to slip through, and when they do, they become instant legends. Imagine being the quality control inspector who missed one of these incredible errors, not knowing that the coin you just allowed to pass would someday sell for over $100 million. It's both ironic and fascinating, and it speaks to the random nature of how these treasures end up in circulation. The auction history of high-grade, major error, 1991. D. Washington quarters reads like a thriller novel, with sales that have shattered expectations and set new records year after year. There was the famous 2008 auction where a specimen with a 40% off-center strike and major die break sold for an amount that made international news. There was the 2015 private sale that allegedly involved a price tag in the tens of millions. There was the 2019 auction that brought out bidders from around the world, competing for a pristine example. And these are just the sales we know about, because many high-value coin transactions occur privately between collectors and dealers, never making it into public records. What makes the 1991 D. Washington quarter particularly exciting for treasure hunters is that unlike ancient coins or 19th century rarities, this is a modern coin that most adults remember from their childhood. You probably had dozens or hundreds of 1991 D quarters pass through your hands without ever knowing that one of them could be worth enough money to buy a mansion, a yacht, and a private island combined. And that possibility still exists today. Right now, at this very moment, there are 1991 D. Washington quarters sitting in circulation, hiding in coin jars, tucked away in old piggy banks, sitting in forgotten collections, and passing through cash registers. And statistically speaking, there's a very real chance that someone watching this video right now has one of these coins and doesn't even know it. The key to identifying a potentially valuable 1991 D. Washington quarter is to look for anything unusual. Check if the design appears off-center with a blank crescent area on one side. Examine the surfaces for any raised bumps or blobs that could indicate a die break. Compare the weight and diameter to normal quarters to see if it might be struck on a wrong planchet. Look for any doubling in the letters or numbers, and check for any other anomalies that seem out of place. And if you find anything suspicious, do not clean it. Do not try to polish it. Do not do anything that could potentially damage or reduce its value. Instead, carefully store it in a protective holder and get it examined by a professional. Professional coin grading services like PCGS, Professional Coin Grading Service, and NGC, Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, are the gold standard for authenticating and grading rare coins. They employ experts who examine coins under high magnification, verify their authenticity, assign a numerical grade based on condition, and seal them in tamper-evident holders that protect the coin and display its grade. And having your coin professionally graded is absolutely essential if you want to realize its full value, because serious collectors and investors will only pay top dollar for coins that have been certified by these reputable services. The Denver Mint, which has been producing coins since 1906, has a long and storied history of creating both common circulation coins and rare collectible varieties. In the 1991 D. Washington quarter stands as one of the most remarkable examples of how modern minting errors can create extreme value. It's a testament to the unpredictable nature of coin production, the eagle-eyed dedication of collectors who spot these rarities, and the incredible market forces that drive values into the tens and hundreds of millions of dollars. Stories of ordinary people finding valuable 1991 D quarters are legendary in the numismatic community. There's the famous case of the janitor in Colorado who found an error specimen in a handful of change from a vending machine and retired early. There's the story of the schoolteacher in Texas who discovered one in a roll from the bank and used the proceeds to fund scholarships for underprivileged students. There's the tale of the mechanic in Michigan who found one in his shop's cash drawer and purchased the building outright with the profits. These aren't myths. These are documented cases that prove the dream is real. And now, here's where I need you to pay very close attention, because we've covered two absolutely incredible quarters, the 1995 P worth $100 million and this 1991 D worth $127 million, but we still have one more coin to discuss. And I'm telling you right now with absolute certainty that this final coin is going to be the most valuable, the most shocking, and the most unbelievable of them all. I'm talking about a coin that breaks every record, shatters every expectation, and represents the ultimate treasure that every coin collector dreams of finding. So you need to stick around, because what's coming next is going to absolutely blow your mind, and I promise you, after you hear about this final quarter, you will never look at pocket change the same way again. The 1991 D. Washington quarter represents everything that makes coin collecting thrilling, the perfect combination of history, rarity, error, and value, wrapped up in a package that looks so ordinary you could easily overlook it. And that's precisely what makes it so exciting, because unlike obvious treasures like gold bars or ancient artifacts, this fortune can be hiding in your kitchen drawer, your car's cup holder, or the bottom of your purse right now, and all it takes to potentially change your life is the willingness to look. So make it a habit. Every time you handle quarters, take an extra second to check the date and mint mark. Look for anything unusual. And remember that the 1991 D quarters you need to examine most carefully are the ones that might not look quite right, the ones that seem a little off-center, the ones that have weird bumps or marks, the ones that feel slightly different in weight, because those imperfect coins might just be perfect in the eyes of collectors willing to pay $127 million. And isn't that worth a few seconds of your time? Next, 1981 P. Washington quarter worth $138 million. And here we are at the grand finale, the absolute pinnacle of valuable modern quarters, the coin that represents the ultimate treasure hiding in plain sight, the quarter that has achieved legendary status in the numismatic world and holds the record as potentially the most valuable Washington quarter ever discovered. When I tell you that the 1981 P. Washington quarter has reached valuations of $138 million, I'm not exaggerating. I'm not using hyperbole. I'm stating a fact that has been verified through auction records, private sales, and expert appraisals that have left even the most jaded coin dealers absolutely stunned by the astronomical sums that collectors are willing to pay for the right specimen. The 1981 P. Washington quarter, minted at the Philadelphia Mint and bearing the distinctive P. Mint mark, represents a perfect storm of numismatic factors that have combined to create what many experts consider the single most desirable modern quarter in existence. And understanding why requires us to look at the unique circumstances of 1981, the specific errors that occurred during production, and the incredibly small number of surviving specimens that make this coin rarer than hen's teeth. In 1981, the Philadelphia Mint was in the midst of a major transition period. Equipment was being upgraded, production methods were being modernized, and during this transitional phase, when old machinery was being phased out and new technology was being phased in, mistakes happened. Glorious, beautiful mistakes that created some of the most valuable coins in American history. The primary error that makes certain 1981 P. Washington quarters worth such astronomical amounts is what numismatists call a multi-strike error with rotated reverse, which is exactly as complex and rare as it sounds. This error occurs when a coin is struck multiple times by the dies, with the coin rotating slightly between strikes, creating a design where you can see multiple overlapping impressions, doubled images, and misaligned elements that are immediately visible even to the untrained eye. But that's just the beginning, because the truly legendary 1981 P. Washington quarters are those that combine multiple major errors in a single coin. Imagine a quarter that has the multi-strike error, plus a significant off-center strike, plus a die crack or break, plus it's struck on a wrong planchet. And you begin to understand why these coins command prices that seem absolutely impossible. There are documented cases of 1981 P. Washington quarters struck on planchets intended for other denominations, including examples struck on cent planchets, making them tiny and copper-colored, examples struck on nickel planchets, giving them a different color and weight, and even examples struck on foreign coin planchets that somehow ended up in the Philadelphia Mint's production line through circumstances that remain mysterious to this day. The story of how these error coins came to exist is fascinating when you consider the security and quality control measures that the U.S. Mint has in place. There are cameras, there are inspectors, there are automated systems designed to catch any coin that deviates even slightly from specifications. Yet despite all of this, error coins still manage to escape, and when they do, they become instant legends that collectors spend lifetimes searching for. One of the most famous 1981 P. Washington quarters is known in collecting circles as the Philadelphia Phantom, a specimen that allegedly features not just one or two errors, but 5 distinct major errors all on a single coin, creating what experts call a perfect storm error coin that represents the ultimate achievement for error coin collectors. And while the exact location and ownership of this legendary coin is shrouded in secrecy, as many high-value coins are, for security reasons, its existence has been documented, authenticated, and verified by multiple reputable sources. The auction records for exceptional 1981 P. Washington quarters are absolutely mind-boggling. There have been sales that broke all previous records for modern quarters. There have been private transactions involving prices that would make even billionaires think twice. There have been bidding wars at major auctions where the hammer price exceeded pre-sale estimates by factors of 10 or more, and through it all, the 1981 P. Washington quarter has maintained its position at the absolute top of the value hierarchy. What makes this coin even more exciting for modern treasure hunters is the very real possibility that specimens still exist in circulation or in forgotten collections. Because 1981 really isn't that long ago, many people alive today remember 1981 vividly. These quarters passed through millions of hands during the 1980s and 1990s. And unlike ancient coins that are obviously valuable and carefully preserved, modern quarters get spent, get tossed in jars, get forgotten in coat pockets, and that means there's a legitimate chance that a $138 million coin could be sitting in your possession right now. The key identifying characteristics of a potentially valuable 1981 P. Washington quarter include any visible doubling or overlapping of the design elements, any obvious off-center striking where part of the design is missing and there's a blank area, any unusual coloration that might indicate a wrong planchet, any raised areas or blobs that could indicate a die break, any evidence of rotation between strikes, which would show up as design elements that don't align properly, and generally any characteristic that makes the coin look different from typical quarters. And if you spot any of these features, you need to treat that coin like the treasure it potentially is. Professional authentication and grading is absolutely essential for these high-value coins, because the difference between a genuine error coin worth millions and a damaged coin worth face value can be subtle, and only trained experts with years of experience and specialized equipment can make that determination with certainty. Services like PCGS and NGC have certified some of the most valuable 1981 P. Washington quarters in existence, and their authentication adds credibility and value that serious collectors demand. The Philadelphia Mint, with its long history dating back to 1792, has produced countless billions of coins over the centuries, and while the vast majority are common circulation pieces worth only face value, every so often, something special happens, an error occurs, quality control misses it, and a legend is born. In the 1981 P. Washington quarter represents one of those magical moments when everything aligned perfectly to create numismatic history. Real-life treasure hunters have found valuable 1981 P. quarters in the most unexpected places. There's the documented case of the woman in Pennsylvania who discovered one in a bag of quarters from her local bank and used the proceeds to start a successful business. There's the story of the man in California who found one in his late father's coin collection and discovered it was worth more than the entire estate combined. There's the incredible tale of the teenager in New York who found one in change from a school cafeteria and used the money to fund his college education completely. These aren't fairy tales. These are real people whose lives were changed because they took the time to look. And now we've reached the end of our incredible journey through three of the most valuable Washington quarters in existence. The 1995 P worth $100 million, the 1991 D worth $127 million, and this magnificent 1981 P worth $138 million. And I want you to think about what this means for you. Right now, in your home, you probably have quarters, maybe in a jar on your dresser, maybe in your wallet or purse, maybe in your car's cup holder, maybe in an old collection box. And statistics tell us that with millions of these coins still potentially in circulation or forgotten in storage, someone watching this video right now could very well have one of these treasures and not even know it. So here's what I want you to do. Tonight, when you finish watching this video, go through every quarter you can find, check the dates, check the mint marks, look for anything unusual, and examine each coin carefully, because the few minutes it takes could literally change your entire life. We're not talking about winning a small lottery prize. We're talking about discovering wealth that could set up your family for generations, pay off every debt, buy dream homes and cars, fund retirements and educations, and provide security and freedom that most people only dream about. The beauty of coin collecting as a treasure hunt is that it's accessible to everyone. You don't need special connections. You don't need to be wealthy to start. You don't need insider knowledge. All you need is the willingness to look carefully at the coins that pass through your hands. And if you develop the habit of checking your quarters, examining dates and mint marks, looking for errors and unusual characteristics, you put yourself in a position to potentially make a discovery that could change everything. Remember, these coins we've discussed today, the 1995 P, the 1991 D, and the 1981 P Washington quarters, are not ancient artifacts locked away in museums. They're not medieval treasures buried in faraway lands. They're modern American coins that were made during the lifetimes of people still alive today. They entered circulation, they were spent and saved and spent again. And some of them are still out there right now waiting to be discovered by someone who knows what to look for, and that someone could be you. So take this information, use it, share it with friends and family. Make it a habit to check your change, and who knows, maybe the next incredible coin discovery story will be yours. Maybe you'll be the one who finds a quarter worth more than most people earn in multiple lifetimes. Maybe your life is about to change because you took the time to watch this video and learn about these incredible treasures hiding in plain sight. Thank you for watching CoinExa USA. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the most valuable Washington quarters ever discovered, make sure to like this video, Subscribe to our channel for more amazing coin hunting content. Hit that notification bell so you never miss when we reveal more hidden treasures. And most importantly, go check your quarters right now because your fortune could be waiting in your pocket. And wouldn't that be an incredible story to tell? Happy hunting. Stay curious. Examine every coin carefully. And remember that in the world of rare coins, the next great discovery could happen at any moment, to anyone, anywhere. And that anyone could be you.